introduce you to 4 characters. But and for as limited knowledge as I have of Star Trek, I did know that it was Captain Kirk.
Okay. Yeah, but you can also, he is not.
And he says, "This is the captain," too.
Yeah, well, he's also not the captain of the Enterprise. He is the captain of the new USS Endeavour. And I have to say, about the art here, that the way that Endeavour, it's kind of a replica ship of the Enterprise, but the way that Endeavour is written across the bow of this, it looks like it was set there accidentally or something. It just doesn't.
Yeah, you're right. It's not. It doesn't look like it's part of the ship.
Yeah, it just looks like it's floating over the top of it. It's bad art.
Yeah,
it needed a little bit of a curve, but
you have to be older. I mean, the point is that you read it, that you can read it.
Yeah,
I guess.
it's not the Enterprise, it's the Endeavour, and Captain Kirk is breaking in his new crew because his old crew have taken jobs elsewhere, including Dr. What is his name? We should
Dr.
know.
McCoy.
Dr. McCoy. And
Dr. McCoy stayed on his ship though, so that he could work with Captain Kirk, but he kind of took a lower position, and he's working under this. I guess it's in the speech he says he's a female.
I know,
but he definitely has like a beard and like gray hair. And, like, I don't know why they decided to call him a female, but whatever.
It is a male-looking, Spock-looking type character. He's a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's
a jerk of a boss.
And he's a jerk of a boss. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's where McCoy is. And then we transport to the Vulcan world, which I guess is called New Vulcan, which, what a name.
Yeah.
And we see Spock and his dad, and they're talking about how his mother died, but how she would be happy that he's with what's her name? O'Hara.
Yeah.
Yes.
And again, all of these artists, all of the art here is Spock looks just like Leonard Nimoy that we know. And the Spock... No, I guess... No,
he looks like the... Yeah.
Spock's dad looks just like the Leonard Nimoy we know, and Spock looks like the Spock who played Spock in
I don't know his name.
Most recent movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like... one of the things that I'm just noticing right now is like the paneling is very simple, but they did put her... across the panels, and it doesn't look very good.
Yeah, it chops the panel off in a funny way, and
yeah, and it gives her like a weird outline. Like, where is she?
Yeah, like, yeah, there's some it has a few hiccups coming and going, but the story just continues. We meet which one is
then
this?
We're back on Earth at the Starfleet Academy, and there's Scotty. Yeah, Scotty's like giving a lecture to all the kids, and he's getting some sass back because, and this was, I thought this was a reasonable way to tell us that the Enterprise, exploded or was destroyed.
Uh-huh.
Cause I didn't know that until now. But he's saying the Enterprise was destroyed, but I'm teaching you safety, and the kid's like, well, if it was destroyed, then why are you teaching us safety? He's like, it would have destroyed itself a million times before then if I hadn't, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, he puts the kid in his place.
Mm-hmm.
And then we meet, there's, that's Sulu, who we've met before.
Yeah, and then we meet Sulu, and he's on the Concorde.
Yeah, he's on a different ship.
Yeah, I think he's the commander of a different ship. And he's like, there's a little narration that like he's getting used to becoming a commander when he's used to being a lieutenant.
Pretty neat stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and then this cool language. This is cool.
But wait, Larry, go back to the ship. The first image of the Concorde. Sometimes I just think about like kids drawing in their notebooks, and the things that you would draw as a kid are like the ship, like over and over and over again. This is like the lamest looking ship I've ever seen.
It really just looks like a saucer with a Bic pen attached to it.
Yeah, and there's like no shading on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna rip on this a little bit more. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That is. It doesn't even look like it would. Like, which direction does it go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty lame design.
Anyway, so he's taken over command, and he's got a Captain Terrell engineering report. They do a good job of saying everybody's name.
Yeah.
So then you're introducing to them. Anyway, and then he's like that, talking to his engineer, and he's saying he's on a 2-year mission instead of being on a 5-year mission, and all of a sudden there's an unidentified ship approaching with like a weird, oh yeah, you're talking about the alien language. It is cool looking. That's maybe the coolest looking thing so far.
Yeah, this is really cool alien language that goes above their heads, and I don't know why it would be. I mean, we like obviously the people there don't see it, but we see it. But this is a callback to the original like series. This is straight up like formulaic. Oh no, what is this? We got to get to the bottom of this. And now it becomes like a what's what, a who's who of this language coming in. And it's super fun because they jet this language back to Vulcan. It's not Vulcan. And who should be there to help out but O'Hara, who speaks some of this language. And it all kind of breaks.
And she's like, I'm on sabbatical, but I'll figure it out for you.
Yeah. And then we, so that's kind of a fun aside. And then we see all of the original cast. Well, the original cast that's on the ship that Captain Kirk, is now the Endeavor.
Yeah, the Endeavor.
And they have a little break from the action.
They're going to do a little investigating.
Well, they have a little break from the action and they're lamenting their new jobs or whatever. And the captain gets called, to the bridge, and now he has to get involved in this awkward, or this alien language and get to the bottom of it. And the plot thickens. Where's this alien language coming from? Set a course. I love set a course. You gotta set a course.
You gotta go some kind of warp speed. And there was a kind of a funny, like, back and forth where he's like, warp speed 8, or warp speed 7, and then she's like, oh, actually, may I make a suggestion? And he's like, what, you don't think we're going fast enough? And she's like, no, I think we should go faster.
And he's like, warp 8 it is.
Warp 8 it is. Like, I don't know what any of the warps mean, it's just another number.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a funny little back and forth. But Larry, I did want to go back to something you had said a little earlier. How you were saying that there's kind of like a Star Trek formula that it traditionally goes through. And that's actually one of my favorite things about Star Trek is that there is this kind of reliable formula of how adventure comes and then they deal with it. But it allows for the characters to kind of be the lead of the story. So then it's like, oh, sure. Oh, yeah. Of course, they run into some alien who's causing trouble. But then it makes the alien have to be unique in its own way, or the formula doesn't have to be so much of the story because we know what it is, and it makes the characters able to step up and be more unique and interesting, I guess. Yeah,
it really does, and the setup for this formulaic story happens here. They've set that course, and they get
there's some kind of alien language, someone's investigating, oh no, there's trouble, oh no, there's a distress signal, oh, we better find out. What is it? It builds that tension, and then hopefully we find out. It's our hook. It's the hook we're looking for in our first issue.
I like this hook a lot. I like this hook a lot. And I have to say that I read this a long, long time ago, and I didn't continue reading it. It's free on Comixology. I may continue reading it after this hook. And the hook is, we get to the site where we left the
Concorde.
The Concorde. And the Concorde is no longer. It's been blasted
It's a million pieces.
And what's really my heart immediately, and I know this is awful because like there were other people on there and on that ship that we hadn't had a chance to meet.
Yeah.
But I know Sulu was on that ship.
Mm-hmm.
And just like any great episode of Star Trek, the main characters never die.
Exactly. And I do like how, so not only do they get like teleported into the ship, but then like they're carried over the shoulder, like in a classic, like I can imagine the early Star Trek when it's like the ship is shaking and everyone's like moving side to side, you know. It's like, here, let me help you, you know, carry you over my shoulder. That's like not really very helpful. Like, unless you have one knee that like hurts a little bit, it's not effective.
Yeah. And so one of our survivors is our Commander Sulu.
Sulu.
And he has a few words to say about...
He's alive.
He's alive. Barely.
He's barely alive. I've seen no scratches. His uniform is in perfect condition.
He's got a little bit of blood coming down his... And he says, what does he say? Resistance is futile.
Oh, you're right. There is one tear in his jersey. But it wasn't there in the page before. Sorry, artist.
Oh, and then so that's the hook, that's the book. But then there's this, like, the last page is a picture of the actor who played Captain Kirk staring at you with his, like, amazing blue eyes, and he's just like, and it's like a bubblegum card or something. Like, give us a stick of gum with these trading cards. Like, that bothers me a lot.
Because it bothered me a little bit because I wanted, if you're gonna do photorealistic at some point, just like actually use his photo in everything. Like, that would be kind of cool.
No, that would be awful. That would be.
No, like, you're right. It'd be too much.
It would be. I've seen those comic books. I've seen those. Remember the
yeah.
It was like Spider-Man did this thing. Well, you were way too young to remember this, but like in between, like Spider-Man did this sort of like Electric Company. He was on a television show called The Electric Company, and it was a realistic Spider-Man. Like it was a real actor portraying Spider-Man, but he had word bubbles. It was so weird.
That is weird. I want to see that now.
Yeah,
at least, I mean, it's creative idea, but the execution, I can't really imagine it.
Yeah, it was hard to watch because there'd be like a little, like he would stop and then they'd like, it was a photograph of him with word bubbles.
But you could do a comic where it's just like you get actors and you just take a photo, you know, and have them pose in the right positions. It'd be weird, but yeah, I'm a little curious.
All right, so
but wait. I actually want to go back because I think the last, like, 3 pages were probably my favorite of the comic, just because they really dragged out the hook. Because Sulu, he's, like, on the medical bed, and he's, like, just straining to say 1-2 words. He's like, Captain! And then they're like, no, save your strength. I can't listen to 3 words. We need to give him a sedative. He's like, no, there's no time. And then it's like, he finally gets up. They said, resistance is futile.
I think it kind of goes back to the campy nature of the television show.
Because once I got to those last 4 pages where they're like leaning on him and they really dragged out this resistance is futile thing, I was like, okay, if I can get into it now that I know that this is the tone. Like, at first I think I just wanted it to be like more action adventure serious, but then once I realized that they're more going for kind of a campy, like, early TV show style, then I kind of bought into it a little bit more.
I'm still gonna be reading it. I bought into it from the get-go. The art needs some help here and there, but like, I do love these characters. Again, I'm like, it's kind of like listening to new music. I can't get into the new music, but I could still groove on some old stuff. I'm old.
Yeah. No, I see. I feel you on that. And so that's definitely the kind of